Hey, this is the Eli Show. How is everybody doing? Because I'm doing great today. And I want to say thank you for following my channel. Thank you for hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. Guys, if you want more content like this, tell YouTube to give me a bigger platform, and you guys support it, and we will get you more content like this. Okay, and so earlier I was reading the comment section. And I was asked why do I not vote? And this is the question that I was getting asked by my audience. They say, Eli, how come you do not vote? And I'm going to explain to you why. Okay? What you guys got to understand is this. This country is $32 trillion in debt. Let me say that again. $32 trillion in debt. And the sad thing about it is the politicians that you elected got us into this mess. This is one reason why I will not participate in any voting or any political garbage, nothing like that. I will not participate in it because this country is $32 trillion in debt. And the politicians that you guys voted for, they're the reasons why we are $32 trillion in debt. What I don't understand is how we can be $32 trillion in debt and you people just keep doing the same thing over and over again, acting like you're going to get a different result when you're not. This is one reason why I do not participate in any political election or anything like that. I don't participate in it because this country is $32 trillion in debt. And the politicians got us into this mess, and they have no plan on getting us out. Second, what you got to understand is our current fiat is being manipulated. Our current fiat is being manipulated. The U.S. government is printing money like it's out of control, just printing it. Basically, it's monopoly money that the U.S. government is printing. It's paper petty. Printed money is what it is. And so you people who participate in these elections, you're being manipulated and you're also being stupid because the same politicians who got us into this mess have no plans on getting us out. This is why it doesn't make sense why anybody would waste their time going to the polls, participating in any political participating in any political charade or any kind of political manipulation. It's just flat out stupidity because the government is the one that's printing money here. Okay? And you would not be able to get away with this. If a regular person like you, let's say you had no money in your bank account. You would not be able to get away with just printing money. You would not be able to get away with that. If you had, let's say you were a business owner, and let's say you only had $1 million in your bank account. You would not be able to just get away with printing money like that. And yet, that's what these politicians are doing. They're printing money. Folks, we are $32 trillion in debt. $32 trillion in debt. And these politicians have no plans on paying it off. They have no plans on paying it. That's why it's flat out stupid when I see people participating in political elections. For what? So these politicians can print more money? For what? Printed paper is what you're dealing with. Monopoly money. They're just printing money. If you had a family and you only had $1,000 in your bank account, and let's say you ran out of that money, you would not be able to just go to your printing press and print money like that. But that's what the U.S. Treasury is doing. That's what our government is doing. We're printing money. Printing money. Money evaporates, poof, and the U.S. just prints it. Makes no sense. Money currency, poof, and then the U.S. government just prints it. Makes no sense. Okay? So, because we're $32 trillion in debt, it makes no sense why anybody would be stupid enough to participate in political elections. Okay? So that's problem number one. Problem number two. Let's talk about inflation. Okay? Inflation it's no accident. Let me just say this right now. It is no accident that we are in the red. Okay? It's no accident that we are in inflation. Okay? You got to understand something here. The lender is always more powerful than the borrower. And these politicians, they are depending on you to support them so they can continue to lend to you, which absolutely makes no sense because inflation is on its all-time high. And make no mistake about it, none of this is by accident. These politicians, the same people who you guys are trying to keep in power, they're the ones who got us in inflation in the first place. Okay? Just like they got us into debt, they also got us into inflation. It is no accident that our inflation went up 7.5%. That is no accident. It is no accident that now in this country we are more divided more than ever. That is no accident. It is no accident when you go to a grocery store and you're paying double for food, triple for food. That is no accident. Okay? These politicians, they're just flat out manipulating the system. They're taking advantage of people. Ignorance is one of the things they love to take advantage of. Because most people in this country, they don't understand the difference between a profit and a profit margin. They don't understand the difference between higher wages, which equals higher inflation. They don't understand how these things work. And so they get out here in the market thinking that they're just going to apply what a politician applied to and not realizing that this is nothing more than a sham. That's not how this works. $32 trillion in debt. Okay? And the politicians that you people are supporting are the ones who got us into this mess. Inflation, 7.5%. That's not by accident. The politicians that you guys are supporting got us into that mess, into the first place. Any of you guys were to do the things that these politicians did, you would be in jail right now. They would book you and put you behind bars. Like literally, you would be in prison if you did half of the garbage that these politicians did. You would be behind bars wearing an orange jumpsuit. an orange jumpsuit if you did the things that these politicians did. Okay? So now we're going to talk about our debt, and then we're going to talk about inflation. Okay? We're going to talk about our debt, and then we're going to talk about inflation, and then you're going to understand why participating in these stupid elections are worthless. Okay? So first, let's talk about the debt. Okay? How did we get to this point? Okay? How did we get to this point? We got to this point because, let me tell you what happened. Politicians started manipulating people. How did they manipulate the people? Easy. They did it by two ways, by two classes. They put the rich against the poor. So basically what they do is they try to get poor people angry at the rich people, right? Okay? And so while you're sitting there getting angry at the rich people, and by the way, I'm not trying to say they didn't have anything to do with this. They probably did. But let me get to my point. So in this country, we have three classes. We got rich, middle class, and poor, right? What politicians love to do is they love to play class warfare. Simple tactic. Class warfare. What is class warfare? Is what I said earlier. Basically, when you put the rich against the poor. You want to get poor people angry at rich people so that way politicians can do something. It's called a reaction, trying to get a reaction. So one of the stupidest things they'll say in every election, and people fall for it too. They say this in every election. They say, well, what do they say? What do they say? They say, well, the rich are not paying their fair share. That's not true. But they'll say that because they know they're going to get a reaction. So they'll say, well, the rich are not paying their fair share. Not true. We know that that's not true, but that's what they say in every political election, that the rich are not paying their fair share. Matter of fact, you even heard the president, Joe Biden, say exactly that. The rich are not paying their fair share. Okay, so you as a poor person, you get angry at the rich person because you're thinking they're not paying their fair share. Not understanding that these people do pay their fair share, but see, what they don't tell you is there's a difference between a profit and a profit margin, okay? See, and so what they do, because most of you who don't know the difference between a profit and a profit margin, you see some rich guy making millions of dollars, but see, what you got to stop and ask yourself is, what is his profit margin versus what is his profit? Okay? If he's selling soda, let's say he's selling soda, and let's say he's selling Coca-Cola, right? And let's say his profit was $1 million, but see, his profit margin was less than that. His profit margin was $175,000. And so people, they don't know the difference between a profit and a profit margin. So they'll see a rich guy who owns his own company, and they'll sit there and do what the president of the United States basically did. Lie and say, well, he's not paying his fair share. That's not true. He is. Okay? So this is one way how politicians manipulate you. Next, another way they manipulate you is they spend money on things that is not necessary. Now, I agree with most people. We need tax dollars for roads, schools, libraries, etc., etc. I agree with that concept. What I don't agree with is when they try to say they're going to build a high-speed rail in California to help the city to grow. That, to me, that's a waste of taxpayers' money. So understand, when they spend money on stuff like that, You, the taxpayer, are paying more, but see, it gets worse than that. You end up in debt. That's how we ended up in $32 trillion in debt, because we were spending money on things that we didn't necessarily need. Okay? They were spending money on healthcare, which we kind of needed, we kind of didn't, but they were spending money on that. They were spending money on teacher unions. Instead of wasting their money on teachers like they were supposed to, they ended up spending money on the unions. They ended up spending money on coliseums that were these coliseums were dedicated to politicians. All of this is what was racking up debt, and they didn't care about it, because in order for you to fix the debt, that would mean you would have to cut certain programs, because there's certain programs that are not necessarily needed, but yet it's in the budget. That would mean you would have to cut that. And no politician really wants to cut that. Okay? So this is not by accident. This is on purpose. They're spending money on programs that are not necessarily needed. Next, let's talk about the inflation. Okay? The inflation. Why does it keep going up? Because again, it goes right into our debt. See, we are not paying off our debt, right? So, because we don't have a balance sheet, and because we cannot balance the books the way they're supposed to, what ends up happening is now we get inflation. Things are starting to cost more. Guys, it's not by accident that we are in inflation. It's by design, my friend. Because what they want to do is they want to bankrupt the country so they can turn around and say to you, well, it's because of so-and-so. So-and-so did this. So-and-so did that. And get you upset at that person rather than focusing on the main issue, our debt, spending, and inflation. Okay? And so what happens is we get guys who are confused because they're like, well, why is inflation going up? Because we have not balanced our debt, and our debt will eventually drag into our inflation, which makes everything go up. We haven't balanced our books. We haven't balanced our debts. And so what's going on here is our debt is rising as well as inflation. Okay. So this is why everything is going up. And this is not by accident. This is by design, because what we have is we have ignorant people who honestly believe they can spend money that they don't have. They honestly believe that they can spend their way into an economy that they don't have. They honestly believe this. They honestly believe that the rich need to pay their fair share, which I can show you studies where they already are paying their fair share. This is nothing more than putting one class against another. That's not by accident. That is by design. Okay? There's a reason why in this country is divided. There's a reason for that. Okay? Because you have certain people in this country who feel entitled to money that's not theirs. It's simply not theirs. They feel entitled to that money that is not theirs. Okay? And so this is one reason why inflation is going up. This is one reason why the debt, it keeps on imploding. And eventually it will implode on itself, because there's no way you could continue spending money that you don't have. Eventually, time's going to come up where we will explode as a country, and you will have higher inflation, if not higher de-inflation, which is worse than inflation. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay? So the reason why I don't participate in these stupid political elections is because the politicians who you guys are voting for, they're the ones who got us into this mess. They're the ones who got us into this mess. That's why it's stupid to participate in any political election because these politicians who you guys are voting for got us into this mess. Like Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac, the politicians got us into that. When the banks now become lenders while you, on the other hand, are becoming a borrower because the lender is always more powerful than the borrower, you got caught into that because the politicians drew you into that. So you ended up bailing out banks. You ended up bailing out banks. You ended up bailing out irresponsible homeowners who bit off more than they can chew and didn't plan on paying it back. Okay, which is not fair to you. There are some people who don't even own a home, but they had to pay Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac who went under. That's not fair. They had to pay back the banks that went under. That's not fair. Okay? So this is why it's stupid to participate in any political election. It makes no sense to me. How are you going to vote for somebody who got you trillions and trillions of dollars in debt? And both parties got us into the debt. Okay? So anybody who sits up there participating in political elections, you're just being stupid and you're just not paying attention, or you're an ignorant voter who does not want to see the reality. Those politicians who you're supporting got you into this mess. And the sad thing about it is they have no way of getting you out of this mess. Although they got you into it, they have no way of getting you out of it. Okay? This is why participating in any election is just flat out rubbish. You're being stupid. $42 trillion in debt. I want you guys to think about that. Your politicians who you voted for got you into that. So don't write in the comment section asking me why I don't participate in elections. You know why I don't. It's worthless. These elections are worthless. They're manipulating you. Okay? Number 3, inflation. If you are so dumb to believe that this inflation is by accident, no, it's not. Again, the people who you voted for, those politicians who you voted for, you're an ignorant voter, and these politicians who you're supporting are ignorant too. They're the ones who got you into this inflation. It is not by accident that the debt keeps going up and inflation keeps going up. These politicians are spending money on programs they know they necessarily cannot afford. And they're not going to cut programs because they're puffed up with pride. Their ego gets in the way. Their pride gets in the way. So it's not like they're going to cut programs to try to help you grow your economy. But no, they're going to keep spending money because they feel like that your money is their money. So they're just going to keep on spending money because they believe your money is their money. And so they're just going to keep on spending money and they're going to keep running up the debt and inflation. So how do we get out of this mess? Okay, I'm going to tell you straight up. But most of you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you straight up. Me personally, I think it's stupid to participate in any political election. The best thing to do is to stay out of it. Stay out of it. Don't get involved. Don't participate in it. Don't get into any stupid debates or anything like that. Nope. Just do not participate in these elections because it's stupid. Why are you participating in an election when the people who you're supporting basically are the ones who got you into this mess? Okay, let me get to my 4th point. My 4th point to why I don't participate in political elections. Here's my 4th point to why I don't participate in political elections. Okay? You got to understand, your vote does not matter. Let me say it again. Your vote does not matter. When the voting starts, it comes down to the Electoral College vote. The Electoral College vote, they're the ones who are going to decide the outcome of the vote. So all you people who are stupidly participating in these political elections, thinking that your vote matters, no, it don't. The Electoral College, they're the ones who get the last say on the matter. Okay, so let's say there's let's say there's a national election, right? A national election. The Electoral College voters are the ones who are going to decide who gets elected. This is why it makes no sense when I see people up here trying to get involved in elections. Okay? And then on top of that, let's say there were local elections. The local elections are corrupt because there is no way to verify who's doing double voting. They allow dead people to vote, cats and dogs to vote, criminals to vote. It's just wild. A guy gets out of jail and he gets to participate in an election. Your grandma has been dead for over 20 years and she's participating in an election. How can a dead person participate in an election? The whole thing is just a sham. And you got people who are so dependent on these politicians, they don't know anything else. So when you try to tell them, these elections are shams, they look at you like you're the strange one. These elections are nothing more than shams. Folks, dead people get to vote? I'm sorry. Your grandma, Theodore, been dead now for 35 years and she voted? That doesn't make any sense, right? And so this is why the elections are a sham. The fifth reason why I do not participate in elections. The people who are participating in these elections, ask them this. Do they know the difference between a profit and a profit margin? If they don't, then just walk away from them and don't have any dealings with them. Because, see, folks, what happens is you get a lot of ignoramus who want to participate in elections, okay? And they don't know the difference between a profit and a profit margin. They have no idea how hard it is to run a business, number one. Number two, you don't see them out here creating jobs and producing business, but they're the main ones who want to raise taxes on everyone. I'm sorry, my friend. That's not how that works. When a business owner goes into business, he's going into business to make money, not to lose money, right? And so if you're raising taxes on that business owner, you basically just shut most of your economy down, which is flat out stupid. Got into an argument with this young man on Facebook, because he emailed me on Facebook talking about how the rich don't pay their fair share, how the rich don't pay their fair share, blah, 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 blah. And when I asked him a simple question, do you know the difference between a profit and a profit margin? He did not. And then he blocks me on Facebook. Okay, that's who you're dealing with. So don't ask me anymore why I don't support the political game and why I don't support politicians. The political game is corrupt. You got people who are ignorant voters out here. And your debt keeps going up. You're $32 trillion in debt. Inflation keeps going up. 7.5% inflation. And the best you people can do is support politicians? Next, let's talk about the media. Okay? Another reason why we're in this mess, you can blame the media. If the media would just do their homework, just do their homework and quit all the BS about pushing an agenda and that's what most of these media outlets do anyways. They do nothing more than push agendas. Okay? First of all, let's go back to the point that I made earlier about the rich versus the poor, etc., etc. Okay, first of all, it is not a rich person's fault that you as a poor person got nowhere in life. Okay? Although there are greedy, I will give you this. There are greedy rich people out there. I'll give you that. Okay, fine. If that's your argument, there are greedy rich people out there. Okay, I'll be willing to give you that. I will be willing to give you that. But let me ask you a question. What are you doing with your life that you have to sit around the table or sit around the television set getting so angry about what rich people have and versus what you don't have? Okay, you want to call them greedy? Go ahead. You want to call them selfish? Go ahead. But what does that have to do with you? You as an individual making decisions. See, the media has done such a horrible job. I was watching this lousy news network called CNN. What a bunch of clowns. They don't tell their audience the difference between a profit and a profit margin. So most of their ignorant audience get mad at rich people because they're going to say stupid stuff like, oh, they're not paying their fair share. Oh, they're not paying their fair share. Oh, they're not paying their fair share. Just being ignorant and being stupid. Okay? Guys, I told you earlier, most business owners are in it to make a profit. If they're losing money while they're making, if they're losing money while trying to make money, excuse me, if they're losing money while they're trying to make money, they're not going to want to get into business. Nobody would ever go into business if they were losing money. So it doesn't make sense that you as an ignorant voter want to raise taxes on these individuals. It doesn't make sense. And then when you tax them, where are they going to go? They're going to go to other countries where taxes are not so high. People always complain to me about China, why China has so many business owners over there. Okay, the reason why communist China has so many business owners over there is because they have a cheap labor market over there in China. Because if a business owner was to try to do business with you here in the United States, you would expect him to pay you $14 an hour. But see, in China, they don't have that problem. In China, you pay somebody $9 an hour and you get the same job benefits and the same item for cheap. So this is why it makes no sense why you would want to tax business owners. It also doesn't make sense why you're supporting ignorant politicians. It makes zero sense why you are an ignorant voter. Okay? So people ask me why I don't participate in elections. That's why. And I will never participate in any political election because of that. Because there's no balance there. The people who are participating in these elections are just flat out ignorant and stupid. Hi, my name is Eli West. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for more content like this. And guys, help me to upload my YouTube channel. Agree or disagree, I'm in it to make money just like you guys are. So help me with my YouTube channel. And thank you for listening to my rant and rave. I love you guys. Make sure you support my YouTube channel. Thank you.